A very good morning to everyone. Welcome to Global Online. Yes, and here we are with our next session for NTA UGC NET including JRF for December 2023 cycle, wherein we, as you all know, that these are the preparatory sessions which we are going unit wise, and the unit which we are doing is Teaching Aptitude. We have already completed 6 sessions of Teaching Aptitude. This is 7th session. And in this session, what are the topics which we are going to cover is evaluation system, a very important topic. Along with that, we will also see pedagogy, andragogy and heutagogy. If you remember, I have taught you pedagogy and andragogy, but I said when I'll do heutagogy and once again revise this topic, then we are going to also see deductive and inductive methods of teaching. So this is what we have today for the day. Now, let's understand before we start with the session what does Global Online has to offer you for your December 2023 cycle. So Global Online has brought up a complete course for December 2023 cycle, which will be consisting of daily lectures which are in Hindi and English. English lectures are scheduled at 10 AM in the morning. You have full syllabus notes in the form of PDF format, so you can easily go through them. You have 60 plus mock test, you have 2000 plus MCQ question bank. At the same time, you have every week mock test will be there. Now this mock test will be on the specific topic which we are doing at that particular week. So like for example, if you remember last week we did Teaching Aptitude, so we took a mock test on Teaching Aptitude. In this coming week will be again there are some parts which are left for Teaching Aptitude, so we will be taking the mock test of the same. So these mock tests will give you a preparation well in advance, and this will help you to understand where exactly you are in the terms of your preparation. So this particular feature by Global Online will help you to prepare yourself best. At the same time, it will help you to understand your level of preparation and where exactly you are right now. At the same time, you can download our app, that is you can go to the Google Play Store, download the app, that is Global Online. Once you download the app, you have to register yourself with the mobile number. Once you register yourself with the mobile number, you will get an interface wherein you will have My Courses. Under My Courses, you can select UGC NET 2023. This is the course which will be reflecting. Once you purchase the course, this is how the interface will look like. Like you will be having the content wherein you will have all the folders. Folders are segregated in English as well as Hindi also, where you have everything available, your notes, your MCQs, your evaluation test, your lectures, everything will be available to you. Okay, so yes, a very good morning to all. So let's start the session with for the day. Now, as you know, we have completed Teaching Aptitude, we have completed Learners Characteristics. For a change, today I have taken Evaluation System, and 2 topics I have taken differently. One is Andragogy, Pedagogy and Heutagogy, and another is your methods, inductive and deductive method. Okay, so let's start with Evaluation System. Now, first of all, let's understand interdependence of teaching, learning and evaluation. It's very, very important. You may get a statement question or you may get an assertion or reasoning question. So you should understand that what is the connection or what is the interdependence of teaching as one of the aspect, learning as another aspect, and evaluation as another aspect. So we know that definitely teaching facilitates learning. Learning is broadly learning is broadly understood as a process wherein you get knowledge, you get attitude, you get skills, you get habits and abilities. That is the right inculcation of knowledge, attitude, skills and habits. Now, to determine, now please just be careful here. See, as I'm saying, there will be no direct question on this. There will be statement questions and you should understand those statements very well. So now, whether to understand that teaching has facilitated learning, and if yes, okay, whether teaching has facilitated learning, there will be, if the answer is yes. Now we need to understand to what extent, and for that we have to understand the interdependence of these 3 terms, that is teaching, learning and evaluation. Now, when we understand the purpose, okay, of instructions is just to help the students in order to achieve the learning outcomes. The teacher gives certain set of instructions to the students. Now why those instructions are given? So that the students the students understand the concept, the students know the concept, and there is a required learning outcome as it is required. Now for that we also have, we include certain changes in the form of cognitive, psychomotor and affective domains. So wherein we put all these three domains into practice in order to understand whether learning outcomes are appropriate or not. Now, there is a direct relationship among the four important factors of educational system. Now very, very important this paragraph, that is objective of your teaching, the purpose of your teaching, curriculum, that is including the syllabus, the method of your teaching, and evaluation. See, very important, I will just clear the screen so that it will be highlighted. You have the four components which has a direct relationship. One is the objective of your teaching, another is the curriculum including syllabus, then you have the method of teaching and your evaluation system. Now the Education Commission 1944-1966 has said that it is agreed that evaluation is a continuous process. So we have formative evaluation, you know very well. It forms an integral part of the total system of education, and it is intimately related to educational objectives. So it is definitely that the students, okay, should have a great influence, and for that the method of instruction will help, okay, not only to give educational objectives or achievement but also to bring improvement, and for that improvement we go for what? We go for evaluation system. So simply, in a simple terms, okay, when we are answering this question in simple terms, okay, it is basically understood as what? It is understood as what is the relationship between between your teaching, between your learning and evaluation. So I'll just summarize quickly so that it will be easier for you to remember in mind. We have three concepts: teaching, learning and evaluation, right? So teaching, through which learning happens, okay. Now learning, it means we understand what type of knowledge, what type of skills, what type of abilities and habits are delivered. Now to understand whether this has made an impact and what amount of impact and what amount of objectives are achieved, in order to understand all those things we need to evaluate. And evaluation, which goes on continuous term, now depends whether you are going to take a formative evaluation, then proceeding to your summative evaluation or diagnostic evaluation or pre-evaluation, placement evaluation. So all this we will understand with the help of evaluation types. I hope it is very, very, very clear with everyone. Okay, so we have understood the interdependence of teaching, learning and evaluation. Fine. Now let's start with this types of evaluation. Now this is very, very important topic. 101% the question comes out of this topic. So this topic is basically, it has been asked in different ways, or it has been asked in different forms. So you should know them very well. So now we have types of evaluation which are based on three main categories. The first category is functions, the second category is approaches, and the third category is interpretation or references. Fine. So when we talk about the functions or role, it is divided into what? Placement and diagnostic. Okay, when we talk about approaches, it is divided into formative and summative. When we talk about interpretation or references, it is talking about norm reference and criterion reference. So let's understand them one by one. Now see, here many students get confused for this placement. This is actually a form of what? Pre-placement. It means that the pre-assessment which is done, or the initial assessment. So in placement, what we do is pre-assessment or initial assessment, which is conducted to know what skill set or what is the skills level the student has for a specific subject. So before a student opt for a specific domain or a stream, we try to understand his skill set or a skill level, so that we can make a proper justification of recommending or giving a student a specific domain. And that's the reason we undertake what? We undertake placement evaluation. Fine. Diagnostic evaluation. Now see, when we talk about diagnostic, it means you understand the root cause, okay, and based on that your evaluation system gets standardized. So you understand, okay, what is the root cause? The root cause may be like, the student is not able to understand the content, the student is not able to grasp the content, the student is not able to concentrate. So what you will do, you will go to the root cause, and then you will come to what? You will come to a solution, you will come to a remedy, and based on the root cause you will work on the remedy. So it is called as diagnostic. So in diagnostic, two things happen simultaneously. You not only go for a cause, but also you come out with a solution. So this is what happens in functions. Okay. Now, when we say approaches, so approaches is formative and summative. Yes, everyone year till a year, everyone is clear what exactly is happening. See, we understood first the relationship between teaching, learning and evaluation. For statement questions, for assertion and reasoning question, it is very, very important for you to understand this topic. Then we went to types of evaluation. So under types, there are three basic types. Okay, there are three main types. One is functions, one is approaches, and one is interpretation and references. So based on functions, we have classified as what? We have classified two things, that is placement and diagnostic. So when we talk about placement, it is basically an initial assessment or a pre-assessment in order to understand which domain is suitable for a student as per his skill set. Okay. Now, when we talk about diagnostic, it is giving two things. Okay, one is your root cause, the problem, and to that problem there will be a remedy, a solution. So you try to understand a problem with a root cause, that is called as diagnostic. Okay, now let's understand formative and summative. Now see, formative and summative assessment, again there are a lot of statements on this, there are lots of assertion and reasoning questions on this. There are lengthy questions, so let's understand them in detail. So let's go one by one. What is formative and what is summative? So formative assessment or evaluation helps students to learn and practice. So it gives two outcomes. It not only helps them to learn but also give them a practice. Now when this particular assessment takes place. Now see, this is very important for statement questions. When we talk about formative, it is throughout the course. So when you talk about any formative evaluation which takes place, it is throughout. Okay, it is done throughout the course. Fine. Why? What is the reason? Why do we conduct formative test? So formative test is conducted to identify the gaps and improve the learning. Now see over here, just highlight this particular part. It helps to identify the gap. It means gap analysis. What do you mean by that? You study the gap in detail and improve the learning. And you improve the learning. It means that you try to ensure that your learning is improved day by day. Okay, so to fill up the gap, it is very important that you have to improve. So improvement is done, it means automatically there is gap filling. So that's what is happening in formative assessment or evaluation. And how do you do this? Approaches that support specific needs of the students. So based on the various approaches, only which will support the student's specific needs. So this is happening in what? This happens in formative assessment. So formative assessment basically is considered throughout the course. Okay, it not only helps to identify the gap but also it also helps to improve the learning. And this particular approach follows that methods where it is basically with reference to support. Okay, which will identify the student's need, and accordingly that support will be provided. So I hope it is very clear with formative assessment. Okay, there are one more slide I have taken in detail for formative assessment, but till here I hope it is very clear. Okay, now summative assessment. Summative assessment, see the word itself. Okay, if you look at the word very carefully, summative, sum, it means a calculation, addition, or you can cumulative form. So what you do is that this particular assessment is at the end of the instructional period. So whenever you are giving instructions at the end, what you do is you take a summative assessment. You conduct a summative evaluation. Now this, it collects the evidence of students' knowledge or the skill set or the proficiency which they have learned throughout the course, or which they have learned through this entire journey of learning. And yes, it is, the learning products, or in the form of what? It is in the form of cumulative assessment. Cumulative, it means which gets on adding up, and which is which not only gets added up but also tells you the progress of the specific student or a specific child. Fine. Okay. Here, any doubts? Okay, so that I can just take those doubts and go ahead. Any doubts, anyone? Okay, fine. So now let's see little bit in specific form what formative assessment and summative assessment are basically meant for. So when I say formative assessment, it is during a learning activity. It happens, okay, the occurrence of it is during a learning activity. Aim is to monitor the students' learning. That is, the basic aim is to ensure what exactly students learn. Provide the students with the feedback, give them the feedback on the regular basis, and this one statement was there, okay, providing of feedback. So yes, in formative assessment it is done on a continuous basis, on a regular basis, may occur several times during a course unit. So it is not specific, okay, it is going to happen only this specific month or this specific time. It is going to occur during the course, okay, and can use a wide range of question formats. So there is question formats which are used in a wide range. Okay, now please see, I'm just taking small pauses so that whatever we are learning, it is helpful for you to keep in mind all those points which are important from your learning point of view. Okay, now like for example, now I'll just first complete the summative and then I'll summarize also. So when I say summative assessment, it occurs at the end of learning activity. We know that it is at the end. So the evaluation, the aim is to evaluate students' learning, what exactly the skill sets or what learning they have done for a specific course or a result which is held with a specific course at the end of the examination. May occur few times over the course. That is, like for example, summative assessment, it may be taken twice or it may be conducted four times in a year. That depends upon your annual calendar, and it can apply a limited number of question formats only. Now let's summarize this. Let's go for the summarization. That when I say formative assessment, it is while the program is learning. It is basically happen while the program is running. It is in the form of, now what I said, it has a wide range of questions. So wide range of questions includes what? It is your class test, it is your quiz, it is your pre-board examinations. It is in the form of that. Okay, and then when we talk about provide the feedback, so yes, it is because of which the teaching can become effective and it reinforces learning. Now reinforcement is not a new term for you. I have explained this term to you very well. It reinforces learning, and hence we can also call it as internal evaluation. It is also known as internal evaluation. So this is one important term which you can use properly. Formative evaluation is also known as internal evaluation. Whereas going to summative evaluation, so it takes place at the end of the course. That's what I have already informed you. So it is the evaluation judges the effectiveness of the program, okay, in the form of final exams or board exams, and the degree or the certification is awarded to the students with what? With the end of the semester. And this, okay, this particular program, teacher gets an entire idea about a specific student in the form of summative at the end of the examination. Is it clear? Okay, fine. Yes. Now let me see any doubts, any questions with the doubts. Okay, so now let's proceed little bit further. So yes, Norm reference and criterion reference. So when I talk about norm reference and criterion reference, so here basically what I'm trying to highlight, okay, this is very important. You should be knowing about this norm reference and criterion reference very well, because students here gets confused a lot. So norm reference, it compares the student's performance against one student performance against the peers of, means his classmates. So comparison is done of one student against his entire classmates, whereas criterion reference, the students is compared with a predetermined standard in the form of the percentage or in the form of the cutoff criteria. It does not, okay, affect a student's scores. This performance of other students does not affect the student's scores. So you should know very well for whom it is conducted, and that's what is important from examination point of view. Norm reference is, it's conducted basically against the students or the classmates, whereas criterion reference, it is basically with the criteria. Is it clear? Okay. Yes. Any doubt, any time, you can please put it in the chat box. I can just refer it and then we can go ahead. Fine. Okay. Yes. When I'll summarize, I'll come to this point later. So now will we talk about pedagogy and andragogy. So pedagogy, I've already given you the understanding. Andragogy also we did. I have added heutagogy, and again once again I have just redefined the content. So when we talk about pedagogy, here it is learner is dependent. It means it is teacher centric. Andragogy, adults are interdependent. It is learner centered, and heutagogy is also learners are interdependent. It means it is learner centered. Okay. Yes. Now learning resources. So under pedagogy, it is, as I said, it is teacher centered. So it is teacher driven. Under andragogy, it is a combination of both teacher and a student. Under heutagogy, learner and teacher are provided with, negotiating part. Based on that, they can decide it. Fine. Now, learning reasons. So next, it is basically pedagogy, so that you are preparing the students for the next level. Andragogy, you drive to increase the performance, okay, by motivating them. And heutagogy, learning potential unplanned or non-linear. Basically, it happens in the potential form, unplanned form, or non-linear form. Fine. Now, learning focus. The focus is on, subject centered. Okay. It is basically subject centered. Andragogy is task centered, whereas heutagogy is proactive or problem centric. Fine. Motivation, here in pedagogy, it is in the form of external motivation. Andragogy, it is in the form of internal motivation, and heutagogy is in the form of self-efficiency driven. Okay, it is basically self-efficiently driven. Teaching role, when you talk about pedagogy, it is teacher design. Andragogy, it is, it is enabler, that is the collaborator, and heutagogy, it is capacity builder. So please remember, these points are very important. Again, there is no direct question in this. You will be getting questions in the form of what? In the form of statements. Okay, it is what centric, it is which motivation works, okay, or in the what type of resources are used. So you should be knowing the parameters very well with the each and every topic. So whether it is pedagogy, whether it's andragogy, or whether it is heutagogy. Is it clear? Okay, fine. Now, yes. So going to the next form, now blended learning. Yes, now there are a lot of questions on blended learning. Today at the end, I'll just take 2-3 questions as in practice question. Let's see how many of you are doing it. Okay. So till here, I hope everything is clear very well. Okay. Any concern, any doubt, you can please put it in the chat box so that I can refer it if you have any. Okay, and then we can proceed further. Now, let's understand another topic in the form of blended learning. So now here we are talking about what? You're talking about face-to-face learning, that is the physical mode of learning, and a virtual mode of learning. So this is a complete physical mode of learning, okay, and this represents what? Your virtual mode of learning. a combination of both of them gives you a blended learning, okay, where you have a face-to-face mode also, where you have, you can be online in the form of online form also. So this is how this works, that is your blended learning works. Now let's see the topic in detail now. So let's go and understand. So traditional, that is face-to-face learning, where the lecture method is conducted. Activities are given in the form of homework activities, okay. Flipped classroom method. Now flipped classroom, wherein your lecture is conducted at the same time instead of homework, okay. This activity is replaced by classroom activities. So whatever it is in the form of classroom, it has been given to the students, okay. Now let's see. Okay, next, go to the next slide and understand that how this traditional classroom is different from the flipped classroom, or what are the features of traditional classroom and flipped classroom. Yes, there are a lot of topics coming on this also, on both the topics, so you should be knowing it very well. You should be able to understand this question very properly. So let's understand traditional classroom approach. So where we have a learning which is happening on face-to-face, that is a strategy. If you remember offline and online method, I have taken one topic. There you have studied instructional strategy. So what is that instructional strategy? It is face-to-face. It is one way, that is linear, and it is instructor control. It means it is teacher control. Okay. Now, approach of flipped classroom, it is in the blended form, that is in the form of virtual as physical, non-linear, okay, it is two ways, and learner control, because here the more emphasis is on learner centric, so it is learner control. Fine. Before the classroom, the learners are informed about the topic and given the learning program schedule. So here it is pre-planned, okay, whereas in the flipped classroom, the learners are introduced to the topic and given the study material to read, to study them in detail, that is analyze and to understand the content. So only the topic is introduced and this material related to that topic is given so that they read, analyze and understand the content very well. Now so see, before it means pre and during the classroom. So in the classroom, what happens? The instructor give lectures and take the students through the learning milestones. So it means that learning is made easy in this process, okay, with the help of instructor. Whereas in this flipped classroom, the learners discuss their learnings and understanding with the peers, or perform learning activities under the guidance of instructor. No doubt they are given the self space also, but whatever they are doing or whatever activities they are performing, it is under the guidance of instructor. Is it clear? Study material. The study material is given in or after the classroom, whereas the study material in flipped classroom is always given before, so that the students prepare, analyze, read and come the study material. Homework. The homework is given after the classroom in the form of practice activities. That's what we saw in traditional classroom. But whereas here in flipped classroom, the learner reflects upon their learnings and discuss or do the activities to understand the concept further. So basically it is it is in the very you can say everything is done, but in the form of what? In the form of a collaboration, in the form of a collaborative learning. Okay, so this is what happens in the flipped classroom. Is it clear? Okay, now if you see diagrammatically presentation wise, I have traditional classroom and flipped classroom. So class primarily consists of teacher directed, that is teacher directed, it is teacher oriented, you can say. Students mainly listen and take the notes. That's how it is in traditional classroom. Most students practice occurs outside the class in the form of homework activities, and most group work, if any, occurs outside the classroom. So here basically lot of importance is given only and only to teaching in the classroom. Activities or their learning happens outside the classroom in the form of homework activities. Okay, whereas in flipped classroom, the lecture method, yes, in the lecture method is the normal regular lecture method, and the classroom activities, that is the class primarily consist of student centered. So students are actively participating in the class, and definitely they work on they work with the help of small groups. But yes, whatever it is, the slide is not clear. Now which slide, Sarika? Till here there was no problem. Okay, let me check. Which slide you are talking about? Okay. I have just refreshed, you can just check it out. Fine. Okay. So yes, it is in this particular classroom. Yes. So when we talk about this particular classroom, here the students often work with partners or the small groups during the class. Is it clear? So this is all about what traditional flipped classroom, that is in the form of blended form of learning also we have, or we can also call it as what? We can also call it as the traditional and the flipped classroom. Okay. This combination of both of them brings learning, blended learning. Okay. Now we have the next form is deductive versus inductive method of teaching. Now see, first of all we will understand what is fonts are very small. This one, Sarika, that was an example which I have taken. That may be the reason. Now if you see in the next slides, fonts are very proper. It's an image form which I have taken. If I to zoom, it will become blur. So I'll just kept it to the nominal size. Okay. Fine. Now see. Now when you talk about deductive versus inductive. So now when we talk about deductive method, deductive. So here what happens? Now see, this I'm talking from the point of teaching aptitude and not from the point of research. Please try to understand this topic we are doing. Methods we are doing in the form of teaching. Okay. So when I say deductive method, deducting. So it does not gives any new knowledge. Okay. In fact, it is not just a method of verification. Okay, it is just one method of verification, or you can say it is a method of instruction. Please concentrate. Okay, I am talking about what? I am talking about deductive method. So deductive method, see, deducting, it means no, it reduces. Okay, so like for example, this is the part. Okay, so it gets reduces. So you are not getting anything new, any new knowledge in this method of teaching. Examples, I'll come to it. First, let's understand the concept. If you are talking about deductive method of teaching, there is no new knowledge given over here. It is just a method of verification that whatever you have learned, whether you able to recall it, and its method of instruction. So child gets ready-made information over here and child just makes use of it. So there is no discovery happening over here, no learning happening over here, or no something different happening over here. It is a quick process. Okay, it's just quick process, you can say, of verification or instruction. It encourages dependence on other sources. So because as I said, there is no discovery over here or no new knowledge over here, so you just encourage, or there is more of encouragement seen on dependent on other source in order to get the information and just use it. So there is a less scope of activity in this particular method. There is no, as I said, it is just recalling part. There is no activity used. Even if it is used, it is less in number. It is a downward process of thoughts and leads to useful results. It is a downward. See, if you remember, we know that deductive is the downward process of thoughts and leads to useful results. So this downward process definitely give, useful results. That was your deductive method. Let's go to your inductive method. See, inductive, in it means something is coming inside. So that something is nothing but your new knowledge. So that something is in the form of what? It is in the form of new knowledge which comes in. Okay. It is a method of discovery. As I said, new knowledge, so discovery. It is a method of teaching. So with the teaching, what you do? Discovery of new knowledge. So child acquires first-hand knowledge and information by actual observation. So here what is happening? Child is acquiring the knowledge, child is acquiring the information by actual observation, which is missing in deductive method. Okay, it's a slow process. Obviously the child, that new knowledge is given, the discovery is happening, the child learns. So it is basically a slow process. It trains the mind and gives self-confidence and initiative. So in this particular method, okay, what is the special thing which happens with the child? It trains the mind of the child, It gives child the self-confidence, yes, I can do it and I can, okay, I can achieve it, and initiative, that is a first step, a first move. It is full of activity and it is an upward process. So here, as I said, deductive is downward, whereas inductive is upward process. So you should remember this all things in mind, this all points in mind. Definitely these points will be coming, okay, in statement format or some or other way, but these are very important points. So deductive method, what we learned in deductive method, nothing new knowledge, just a method of verification, just a method of giving instructions to the child, which is very quick. You have to just give instructions. There is a less scope of any activity in this, and it is a downward process. Okay, downward process does not means, you know, it's a downward process of thought and leads to useful results. Okay, so it comes from a teacher to a student. Whereas when we talk about inductive, here something new, something discovered, something fresh is given to the child, which helps the child to train his minds and not only give him confidence but also bring initiative in him, which is full of activities. It is done in the form of activities and it is a upward process of thoughts and leads to principles. Okay, now I have prepared some different notes also, so that it will help you to understand the topic very well. So when I say inductive and deductive method, okay, teaching and learning we know are both important, and definitely both, you know, both are the distinct and opposite methods or approaches, but require the presence of teacher as well as a student. There are two different biggest methods, you know, that is focus and flow of information, as well as the roles of the teacher and student. So the way the focus or information needs to be required. On other hand, it is basically what? It is basically the role of a teacher and student equally important. Inductive teaching and learning means direction of flow. That is information which is from a very specific thing and taking it to very general thing. Okay. Now it is what? In terms of teaching. Now this is very important for you. This thing you have to keep in mind. In terms of teaching, inductive method, the lesson is started with activities or with experiments, and it is focused on the capabilities and abilities rather than on teacher. So it is basically focused on students' capability and ability rather than on teacher. So it plays a very important role. There are many advantages of inductive learning and teaching which will help you for the statement questions. Knowledge is acquired, skills, reasoning skills are developed, or prior knowledge is given. Okay, so this method is basically used. Okay, this method also measures how a student's connection is based on the information presented. So what type of connection the student have. So since inductive teaching and learning involves student perspective, okay, it is easier for the student to learn the concept. So that is learning by doing, you can say. And this is the method of discovery, and yes, but it is time consuming, but it is perfectly suited for a small group of students with a component and experienced teacher who knows how to make adjustment throughout the lessons. So who knows or who understands the students very well, who knows that okay, the student is capable of this, and this all way the teacher can get the activity done by the student. Is it clear? Okay, now coming to the deductive. So in this method, that is, I'm talking about deductive, the teacher is playing a prominent role in order to disseminate the information, which is from general to specific. Okay, it is, you know, it is knowledge is referred or communicated over here. The flow of information is with the help of concept of introduction and presenting certain activities, but which are less compared to inductive. Okay, there are a lot of facts. It is based on facts, it is based on statements, it is predetermined logic. This method is easy to apply, leaves no room for mistakes, and information is valid. The method is, you know, requires preparation on the part of teacher. Unless and until teacher is not prepared for her lessons, teacher is not prepared for her class, it won't deliver the outcomes which are required. Fine? Yes. So now, if we summarize this, however, deductive method, okay, has certain advantages, disadvantages also. Okay, in the terms of application in language, both methods are applied in different language modes, concepts and instances. For example, The inductive method is applied in developing a story or a work which is completely new for the students. On the other hand, deductive method can be useful in explaining the literary work. So yes, they have given the examples also. You should understand that what deductive method ends up with, what inductive method ends up with. Okay. Now, so when we summarize, okay, this topic, if we are summarizing, deductive and inductive methods of teaching and learning differs in many aspects. So it's not one and the same. In inductive, there is a general flow of information from something very specific to general, whereas in deductive, there is the flow of information from general to specific. Deductive is more focused on student, inductive is more focused on teacher. The deductive method introduces a concept and it process before applying it in a test activity. Meanwhile, inductive method activity is an activity oriented, and before the chapter is initiated or discussed. The deductive method is used in a large room setting, while inductive method is used in small groups. So please, this you have to keep in mind, deductive method which is used in large rooms, whereas inductive method is used in small groups of students. Is it clear? Okay. Yes. So now let's summarize what we have done. Let's properly understand. So first, okay, we started evaluation system. So any student who has joined late, so just remember we have started evaluation system. So what is evaluation system? It is a systematic process. We saw the difference between teaching, learning and evaluation, but if I specifically talk about evaluation, it is a systematic process which helps the students to understand which helps the teacher to understand the students' interest and potential. It helps in learning. Obviously, it is basically assessing the magnitude of learning process. So we studied what? We studied the techniques, Now we started with what? We started with placement, that is entrance examination, in order to know where the students can be placed. Then we went for the formative evaluation, a continuous process where the feedback is given. Diagnostic evaluation, where you not only find the cause but also the root cause as well as the solution to the problem. Summative, which is taken at the end of the course, and definitely it is basically the teacher task is to get complete cumulative evaluation done, which is at the end, and in alignment with what happened in the previous months or years. Now this is all we have done. Norm reference, where a comparison happens, a comparison happens of a student with his peer, and criterion reference, the comparison happens between the the comparison is happening as per the standards or the scores. So this is what we have done. Okay. We saw a lot of examples also. We did pedagogy, andragogy, heutagogy, learner dependent, adult dependent, and where the learners are interdependent. Then after that we saw blended learning. So basically blended learning is nothing but a combination of your traditional learning and virtual learning. So in this also, if you remember, we have seen lot of points. We have differentiated what is traditional classroom, what is flipped classroom. Okay, what are the importance of traditional classroom, instruction wise, or before the classroom, in the classroom, or flipped classroom, instruction wise, before the classroom, in the classroom, with respect to study material, including study material. Now we have also seen diagrammatic presentation. We have seen the deductive and inductive model of teaching. So this is all what we have done. Okay, now I'll just put you some some small questions. The questions I have not written. I will just take some questions so that it will be helpful for you to understand the question. 2-3 questions we will take. Let's see how many of you are able to crack those questions very well. Okay, fine. So till here we have completed very well. So let's take some question and understand those questions. Okay, so yes, we'll utilize this place. Now we are talking about what? For educational purpose. Okay, one question I have taken. For educational purpose, okay, the learner with mental retardation, okay, cannot be categorized as what? So for the student, okay, for education, the student who is having mental retardness cannot be categorized as what? So I'm giving you the 4 options A, B, C, D. Okay, so let's see how many of you are able to do it. The one who is educated, learner cannot be classified as one who is educated. The one who is analytical, okay, or the one who is custodial, the custodian, or you can say custodial, and the one who is trainable. Okay, so the one who, I'll repeat the question, these are the options. Okay, the options are educated, analytical, custodian, and we have the last one is the trainable. So now what the question was, for educational purpose, the learner with mental retardedness cannot be categorized as what? From the given options, he cannot be categorized as what? Okay, waiting for everyone to answer. See, the question is basically mental retardedness. So in mental retardedness, the learner cannot be identified as what? He cannot be identified as a educated person, the custodian, the analytical, or the trainable. Yes, Sarika, very good. He cannot be he cannot be considered as what? He cannot be considered as custodian. Very good. Okay. Yes, one more question I'm taking. Okay, just give me 1 minute. One more question I'll take, and then we can just go on. Okay, fine. So here we have another question. So we have the question is, yes, here I hope the first question answer is very clear with everyone. Fine. Yes, we'll take one question on assessment. Okay, so which of the type, I'll just clear the screen. Listen to the question very well. Okay, so which of the following types of assessment is done for giving grades, marks, or credit to the students? Whether it is formative assessment, whether it is summative assessment, whether it is integrative assessment, or whether it is diagnostic assessment. Which of the following, okay, I'll repeat the question once again. Which of the following assessment is done for giving grade, marks, or credit to the students? So let's see how many of you are able to do it very well. Okay, anyone wants me to repeat the question, just let me know. I'll repeat it. Which of the following assessment, is under which assessment grades, marks, or credits are given? Okay, so let's see. Based on what you people will be answering, let me see. Yes, I hope the answer is yes. Anyone who has came to the answer, just let me know if anyone has came to the answer, so that we can just go and check it out. Okay, I'll repeat the question again. Which of the following assessment is done for grading, marks, or credit to the students? Formative, summative, then I have written as formative, summative, then I have written integrative and diagnostic. So which is the one which gives them the grades? Okay, let's see how many of you are able to answer. Yes, diagnostic, Sarika, Srilata. Okay, the question was the one which gives them the grades, the one which give them the marks, and the one which gives them the credits. So basically, see, marks, grades, and credits, if you see, we are doing at the end of the course. So okay, Sarika, just a second. Okay, I don't know, I'll do one thing from tomorrow onwards. No, I will just take the questions in the slide only, 2-3 questions. So I'll just take just a second. Okay, so it is asking about okay, so it is basically talking about the assessments which gives them grades, assessment or evaluation, okay, grades, marks or scores. So the option was formative, the option was summative, the option was integrative, and the option was diagnostic. So which gives them marks, grades, or scores. So basically the answer is not yes, Srilata has answered very correctly. So the answer is summative. We are talking about the final marks, grades, or scores, so it is summative. Is it clear? Okay, fine. So yes, this is all we have done today. Okay, and any student who is waiting for paper 2 also study material for this following subjects we have in the form of MCQs and notes, so you can have a look. Okay, the price is 1,600. You can get in touch with us in order to get the same and start studying for your examination and help yourself in cracking your examination in December 2023 cycle. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good day ahead.